Nicola, I was actually really surprised to hear that this was something that affected children. How big of a problem is it?
Yeah, I was too, actually, Rachel, to be perfectly honest, because we keep hearing the fact that children are supposedly much less impacted by COVID-19, much less likely to become infected, and if they are, it's normally asymptomatic. But this is a problem. There was some research done in Italy that it was a fairly small study done in Rome, but it did show that out of the children who were infected by COVID-19, nearly half of them had at least one symptom 5 weeks later, and it really was actually having an impact on their daily lives. And there's also now a group called Long COVID Kids that's been set up. This was set up last September by some parents here in the UK, but it's a worldwide group, and it's now got 2,000 parents already signed up, and another 100 are joining every week, so it represents nearly 4,000 children. And they're saying that, you know, there are children who are really badly infected by COVID-19 because of this long COVID. I spoke to one of the initiators, one of the founder members, Frances Simpson. Now, she had COVID-19, her children did last year. She realised that she was still having symptoms quite a while longer. Her children, though, have been really badly infected. So her 6-year-old son has stomach problems, he has nightmares, he's incredibly tired. If he goes to school, he has relapses and has to then come home and he has the muscle ache. And her 10-year-old daughter has these burn-like rashes that we're beginning to see all over the internet because they're being shared. It's a fairly new symptom of long COVID. So she has that, and she's also developed asthma. Now, Frances is a lecturer in psychology. She has an interest in the neurological impact that COVID-19 is having on people. And she says, you know, she's been struggling to deal with her COVID-19 symptoms and her children's, but she says a lot of people have it much worse, particularly convincing the medical community that that's what their children are suffering from.
So, Nicola, what do these parents want to be done?
Well, they want something similar to the Italian researchers who say that a lot more needs to be done researching the impact of COVID-19 in the long term on children. Frances and her group are saying that basically they want recognition for a start, then they want research, and they want treatment. So I spoke to Dr. Ravi Jairam, he's a paediatrician here in the UK, and asked him how much he'd come into contact with that. And he said one of the issues with coronavirus that's caused COVID-19 is that we only know about this disease for the past year. He said now it's known that children often have something called chronic fatigue syndrome after a virus, and he thinks there's probably some sort of crossover. And the only thing that can be done really at the moment for children with long COVID is to treat them as they would for chronic fatigue syndrome. So to ensure that they don't end up overdoing too much if they're feeling all right and then having a relapse, giving treatments for headaches, for the muscle pain and everything like that, having physiotherapy, having psychological counselling, because you can imagine, Rachel, for these children who are used to running around on the playground to suddenly realise that by walking upstairs they're exhausted and they have to lie down. I mean, that is so sad. So Dr. Jairam says that he thinks that he and his colleagues need to accept that when they see children to consider long COVID, but also not to let that mask other underlying diseases. So it's a bit of a tightrope that they've got to work out the two. But the main thing is certainly for people to be aware that long COVID can impact on children and for more research to be done.
All right, thank you for that, Nicola Hill. Thank you.